Another tutorial for you and another quick win. In this tutorial, we're going to show you how to change the fuel cap on your R9T for this beautiful CNC machined Motographe fuel cap. Now this comes in natural, which is with both the natural coloured, i.e. silver cap and the silver base, or black, which is the natural CNC machine finish of the lower cap with a satin anodized top cap with this lovely laser work on the top. Now when I say R9T, it is literally across the board. So it is your Roadster, your Pure, your Scrambler or your Urban GS. And it really is as simple as 4 bolts, remove the cap, and 4 bolts back in with some spacers to get this one fitted. I'm going to talk you through how to do it. With the fuel cap open using the key, place the key back in the ignition barrel so you know it's safe. Using a T25 Torx Bit on a 3/8, can be 3/8 or quarter drive, it's most likely going to be 3/8. We want to undo 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts out the top, which are the ones that are holding this silver cap in. We can remove those, put those to one side, and then I'll then show you the process onto how to fit the cap itself. Before you go any further, I just place a little bit of blue roll in there just to make sure that no bolts or none of the spacers that we're going to be putting on here, because they're loose, are going to fall down in there and really spoil your day because they'll be sitting in the bottom of the tank. So I pick up the Motographe fitting kit, which consists of 4mm Allen key head bolts. As you can see there, 4mm Allen key, and 4 spacers which are going to occupy this space just here. It really is a quick, simple win, this one, and it makes the tank look absolutely fantastic. So separate the cap from the base. On the cap itself, you'll see that there is a CNC machined arrow. So there is only one position this can go. Make sure you remove this tissue now, because that's going to get in the way of this sealing ring around here. Get that in position like so. Now you'll see that we've left the rubber gasket off that goes around the outer side of the tank. We find that with the original gaskets, they don't actually sit very nice, and they tend to want to flare up and don't actually sit flat. So as you can see from what I showed you earlier, this sealing ring is going to do the sealing to make sure that there's no fuel that's going to come out, and this rubber ring around the outside is purely a dressing ring, because there is actually a secondary double layer gasket that sits under this red cap between that plastic housing and the tank itself. So this here is going to do the sealing here, and the plastic, or should I say the rubber dressing cap, is purely what it is, a dressing cap. So get them aligned and then we can get our bolts in. We want to get one bolt in at a time just to get things started. Don't tighten anything up, because then you'll find that it will be that much more difficult to get the others in. You might find that underneath there'll be a little bit of movement from the spacers themselves. But a little bit filling around, you can get that resolved. Okay, so now that we've got all of these in place, we can go ahead and tighten these all up by hand. Do them in a crisscross pattern to make sure things go down nice and easily. And once they get a little bit tougher than hand tight, you can then come back along with the ratchet. Now with these, I don't use any particular torque setting, because they're going into captive nuts inside the tank, and it's not holding the world. It's not holding your rear wheel on or holding your front caliper on. So you just want to make sure that it's tight and tight enough, but not over tight, because they are only fine thread M5 bolts that are going in there, 4mm top Allen keys. You don't really want to go much tighter than what they need to be. Okay, now that they're tight to a happy standard on the crisscross, I now go round in a clockwise motion just to make sure that they're all superseated. As you can see, just doing them up to, I would say, a very low Newton meterage, just to make sure that things are in place but not over tight. So you want to go crisscross in an X fashion until they're seated, and then you then want to go round clockwise twice. Okay, lovely. So, as you can see, the gap around the tank has seated up nicely. It's pointing in the right direction and it's looking absolutely fantastic. So, the final piece in the puzzle will be to put the cap on, making sure it's nice and tight, but also, most importantly, making sure that that emblem is in the correct position with the M reading correctly when you're sitting on the bike, and it nice and parallel to the front of the bike. It really is as easy as that. So much so that I believe my coffee that I put on just before I started this is still hot. Enjoy.